Hello everyone and welcome to my The Bold Fans channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful BNB suggest that if Steffy Forrester Finnegan, Jacqueline MacInnes Wood, becomes pregnant with Carter Walton's, Lawrence St. Victor, kid, she may make a decision that alters everything. Will Steffy choose to assist Daphne Rose Walton, Muriel Hilaire, in becoming a mother rather than keeping the child for herself? In order to determine where BNB may be heading with all of this, we must examine all of the soapy data. There must be a reason why Steffy suddenly became attracted to Carter after Daphne was unable to give him the child they both so much desired. It's obvious that Steffy will end up with Carter's bun in the oven. This could undoubtedly cause serious issues in Steffy's marriage to John Finn Finnegan, Tanner Novlin, and deal Daphne a devastating blow. But in the end, Steffy might provide a beautiful proposition. What happens if Steffy determines that her own family is full and that she would want to assist Carter and Daphne in starting a family of their own? Steffy already has Hayes Finnegan, Brian David Garlick, with Finn and Kelly Spencer, Sophia Parras, with Liam Spencer, Scott Clifton. Steffy may now be adding a third baby daddy to the equation, which might further complicate her blended family. Steffy might be concerned that her relationship with Finn could be permanently damaged if she retains this child and co-parents with Carter. If Steffy's transgression is constantly brought up, there might be no chance for her marriage. Additionally, after her desire for Carter is revealed, Steffy might feel compelled to somehow reconcile with Daphne. Steffy will want to make peace with Daphne because they are close friends, and she might believe that a baby gift could help. If Daphne accepts this baby and raises it as her own, Steffy might say that something positive can result from her error with Carter. Perhaps Steffy will agree to give up her parental rights so Daphne can adopt Carter's child. Naturally, Steffy may reconsider once the baby is born, but if she is genuinely pregnant by Carter, this might at least be a proposal she makes at some point. According to previews on The Bold and the Beautiful, Finn and Daphne will soon receive some shocking news. Long after the night was over, Steffy could still picture the gentle glow of the Forrester Creations office. The half-empty bottle of scotch, the leather couch, and the trembling of Carter's hands as he reached for her all seemed like a fever dream from which she was unable to awaken. It was consolation, she had told herself. After their worlds had collapsed, two shattered individuals relied on one another. He was no longer with Daphne. What little trust existed between them had been destroyed by Finn. Boundaries had vanished in the mist of drink and loneliness. The repercussions showed up a few weeks later as two pink lines and a tiny white stick. In her cliffside house, Steffy sat on the edge of the bathtub and gazed at the test as though it might reconsider. The ocean beyond was illuminated by the morning light streaming through the high windows, but she didn't feel the customary tranquility. Her heart thumped against her chest. She had a pregnancy with the child of Carter Walton. Pure panic was the initial emotion. She closed her eyes and put a palm to her still flat stomach. This child was not anticipated. Unlike her previous children, it was unwanted. It was the result of one weak night that she and Carter had vowed never to discuss again. Finn continued to make an effort to win her back. Just a few days prior, Daphne had returned from Paris, discreetly putting her wedding band back on her finger and pleading with Carter for another opportunity. The instant the truth was revealed, the tenuous harmony that both spouses were trying to restore would fall apart. Steffy had a shower, put on pants and a cozy cashmere sweater, and drove to the private clinic she trusted. The confirmation arrived promptly. "I'm 6 weeks along. Wholesome. No issues." With a hollow feeling in her chest and a folder containing pregnant vitamins, she departed. She met Carter that night in a peaceful area of the Forrester grounds, away from the main structure. The scent of faraway salt and jasmine filled the air. In some way, the weight of recent events was reflected in the creases surrounding his eyes, making him appear older. Without preface, she said, "We need to talk." He already knew after examining her features. "You're expecting," she said with a single nod. Carter let out a breath as though the earth had moved under him. "It's yours." He slumped down on a low stone wall and ran a hand down his face. Daphne just returned. She is making an effort. We are making an effort. How on earth are we going to tell her this? We don't, Steffi replied. Even she was taken aback by the remarks. Not just yet. Perhaps never. He glanced up abruptly. What do you mean? With her hands firmly clutched in her lap, she sat next to him. Daphne is unable to conceive. The physicians were unambiguous. Early inadequacy of the ovaries. Her physique is preventing her from having the family she desires. It aches to witness how much you both want this. And me, she swallowed. I have my kids already. My world revolves on Kelly and Hayes. I had no intention of having another, Carter said in a hushed voice. Especially not like this. Steffi's eyes burned as she said, You're talking about giving the baby up. I'm talking about giving the baby to the people who will love it the way it deserves. Daphne and you. Take it up as your own. If she wants to be involved at every stage, let her go through pregnancy with me. From the first ultrasound, let her be the mother. I'll carry it. I'll deliver it. He looked at her as though she had spoken a strange language. And then I will step back. Steffi, you don't just decide that. This child is from Forrester. They don't have to know the full truth, she said, interrupting Ridge and Taylor. Not immediately. We may say that I volunteered to act as a surrogate. That we used a donor or that my eggs were already frozen and Daphne's weren't viable. Something tidy. Carter paced as he stood. Something that doesn't destroy 2 marriages in the process. It was a crazy concept. Additionally, it was almost elegant in the perverted logic of their existence. Daphne would at last have the child of her dreams. Without the controversy of an affair child shattering everything. He would be a parent once more. With the evidence of her betrayal growing inside of her, Steffi wouldn't have to confront Finn. And 2 people who really desired the baby would raise it. Would you actually do that? At last he inquired. 3 days later, in the silence of Carter's living room, they said to Daphne, I already am. Steffi had practiced the version of the tale that kept everyone safe. She clarified that she had come to the conclusion that she could provide them with something that no clinic could, following the night of shared anguish. An offer of regret and friendship. As Steffi talked about carrying the kid for them, allowing Daphne to attend every visit, and naming the child together, Daphne listened in startled silence, tears streaming down her face. Daphne came across the room and gave Steffi a passionate hug after she was done. Would you take care of this for us? She muttered. For you both, Steffi replied. And for the baby. The arrangement became a peculiar new normal. Steffi carried on working at Forrester, concealing her pregnancy with well-planned absences and fitted coats. Every time she went to the doctor, Daphne became her shadow. During the initial scan, she grasped Steffi's hand and gazed with awe at the little flickering heartbeat. With one hand on each of their shoulders and the weight of their secret bearing down like stone, Carter stood behind them both. Finn was the first to notice the changes. The exhaustion. The abrupt dislike of some smells. The way Steffi stopped reaching for wine over supper. One evening on the balcony with a view of the Pacific, he confronted her. He remarked, You're different. Away. Steffi calmly addressed his gaze. I thought we were trying again. We are. However, I require time. And room. Finn, this isn't about you. Not everything is, he said, accepting the response for the moment. Ridge and Taylor were blissfully oblivious, preoccupied with the company's never-ending drama and their own shifting alliances. While Steffi's secret existence developed, life at Forrester Creations carried on with its typical routine of power struggles and design deadlines. There were new difficulties throughout the second trimester. The morning nausea subsided and was replaced by an unanticipated soreness. Late one night, when she was by herself in bed, she felt the first flutter of movement and put both hands to her stomach, tears trickling into her hair. This was a real child. Even though she had already given it away, it was hers in body and blood. She was more afraid of the idea than she acknowledged. The following morning, she gave Daphne a call. Daphne's voice broke with emotion as she said, "I felt the baby move." They gathered at the beach home that afternoon and said, "Tell me everything." Daphne's hand was directed to the precise location by Steffi. Daphne both smiled and sobbed as the silky roll appeared again. The three of them, a frail family of transient design, sat on the porch watching the sunset after Carter returned later with takeout. In the 6th month, the amazing offer arrived. It came from Daphne herself, not from a physician or an attorney. For days, she had been silent and contemplative in a way that unnerved Steffi. After a standard examination one evening, Daphne invited Carter and Steffi to remain in the private consulting room. She said, "I've been thinking." Her speech was calm and her hands were firm. Regarding the future, Carter scowled. "About what this baby means and what we all deserve." "Daphne, let me finish," she said, turning to face Steffi. "Our child is inside you. I will never be able to repay you for what you are giving us. However, I also notice how you touch your stomach when you believe no one is observing. I can already see the love blossoming." Steffi felt the air escape her lungs. "And I won't ask you to walk away from that completely." Daphne went on. "I want to raise this child with you. The three of us. Not in secret. Not as a deception we must uphold indefinitely. As a self-made family. The biological mother will always be you. The father is Carter. I will always be the mother raising this child, but I will never take your place in the narrative. When the time is appropriate, we can be honest. Alternatively, we might construct a new reality that encompasses all of us. Co-parenting. Holidays spent together. Decisions that are shared. No one has to lose." The only sound in the room was the gentle hum of the air conditioner. Carter had bright eyes. "You're serious." "I've never been more serious about anything." Daphne grasped both of their hands. "This pregnancy began with suffering and disclosure. That's not how it has to finish. We can transform it into something lovely. Something audacious." Steffi glanced down at their clasped hands, then at her belly's soft curvature. As if in response, the infant kicked. She experienced something other than fear for the first time since the two pink lines had emerged. Possibility. A future in which she wouldn't have to leave her own child behind. She said, "I need to think." Daphne said, "Take as much time as you need. However, be aware that the offer is still valid. Forever." Steffi strolled the cliffs by herself that evening. The water boomed below, and the wind tugged at her hair. Kelly and Hayes, the family she already had, the guy she still loved in complex ways, and the little life that would soon need a name and a place in the world were all on her mind. She considered Daphne's fierce, surprising giving and Carter's quiet strength. Daphne's message was waiting for her on her phone when she got home. Just one line. "Whatever you choose, there are already 3 individuals who adore this baby above all else." For the first time in months, Steffi smiled and put a hand on her stomach. It would be a messy road ahead. Honesty, bravery, and a readiness to rethink what family meant would be necessary. But it didn't feel difficult for the first time. The pregnancy persisted. The number of appointments increased. The serious preparations started. Daphne filled a nursery with delicate yellows and greens. Carter studied baby monitors and car seats with the same zeal he once applied to business planning. Steffi gave herself permission to experience the delight of growth, movement, and the peculiar wonder taking place inside of her. And when the day finally arrived, when labor started in the wee hours of the morning and the 3 of them stood hand in hand in the delivery room, Steffi realized that the incredible offer had already been accepted in the only way that mattered. The silent, radical choice to love a child beyond the bounds of traditional narratives. Not through contracts or public declarations. The infant arrived with a full head of dark hair and a loud cry. After holding the baby for a long, priceless moment and kissing its small forehead, Steffi put it in Daphne's waiting arms. Carter put his hand on each of their shoulders. The Los Angeles sky was starting to lighten outside the window. It was a new day, fresh start, and a family that nobody could have imagined, created through honesty, pain, and an offer that turned everything around. If Steffy Forrester finds herself in a tragic position with Carter Walton, a covert pregnancy, and Daphne Rose, the most recent plot of Bold and the Beautiful might take an emotional and totally unexpected turn. This possible turn of events could result in one of the most intense family dramas to date, but nothing is certain until it happens on TV. Even when her decisions have unpleasant repercussions, Steffy has always felt that she can defend the people she loves. But what happens if you have to give up a child in order to protect someone? If Carter's baby becomes the focus of an unexpected choice, Steffy might find herself in that precise situation. Carter's life has been full of challenging decisions, complex relationships, and emotional struggles for months. He has frequently been torn between his desires and what he thinks is best for those around him. Imagine now that Carter finds out he is going to have a child, but the pregnancy is shrouded in secrets that have the potential to drastically alter his destiny. The pregnancy itself might not be the biggest shock. It might be Steffy's choice after discovering the truth. Family difficulties are nothing new to Steffy. Betrayals, unplanned pregnancies, custody disputes, and heartbreaking secrets have all influenced her life. She also has a strong protective sense, especially when she thinks someone is in need of her assistance. If Carter's baby is put in a scenario where Steffy feels the child needs a different destiny, that instinct might become disastrous. Daphne can show up at the wrong time. Daphne Rose has already demonstrated her capacity to infuse the lives of the Forresters and others around them with unpredictability. Viewers might witness an entirely different side of her if she is linked to Carter's pregnancy plot. Daphne might develop into someone who makes an incredible offer that Steffy finds difficult to turn down, rather than just another love issue. The possible setup starts with Steffy learning about the pregnancy before Carter is completely aware of it. There would be a great deal of stress just from that. Steffy might find out that Carter's relationship and personal life are complex, which is why the pregnancy is being kept a secret. She may choose to look into the matter on her own rather than notifying Carter right away. That would be traditional Steffy. She frequently feels that addressing an issue directly is preferable to letting it develop into something much more hazardous. This time, though, she might find Daphne directly through her investigation. It's possible that Daphne may disclose her deeper motivations for wanting the child. Maybe she's always wanted a family of her own, or maybe she thinks she can provide the child stability that Carter and Steffy worry could not be feasible in this situation. At first, her offer would seem unexpected, but Steffy might find it harder and harder to turn it down. This is the point at which the narrative may become genuinely poignant. At first, Steffy could reject Daphne's offer outright. She might contend that a child cannot just be passed from one person to another. She might argue that no one has the right to make such a significant life-altering choice without Carter, and that he needs to know the truth. But events might make her reconsider. Let's say Carter is already dealing with a terrible personal problem. Let's say he thinks having a child will ruin his profession, his relationship, or his ability to be happy. Steffy might start to worry that Carter wouldn't be prepared to be a parent. She might also be concerned about how everyone might be affected by another complex family circumstance that might force Steffy to make a choice she never anticipated. Steffy wouldn't necessarily want to harm Carter if she gave the kid to Daphne. She might even persuade herself that she is defending him. Carter needs time, Steffy could convince herself. She could think Daphne could provide the infant with a tranquil life. Most significantly, she might believe that temporarily concealing the pregnancy would stop an emotional outburst that could ruin multiple lives at once. However, in Los Angeles, secrets hardly remain hidden. Carter might eventually learn that Steffy was aware of the pregnancy. His response would be explosive. In addition to the fact that Steffy allegedly assisted in making a decision on his own child without his consent, Carter might feel deceived by her for keeping such a significant secret from him. Finding out that someone else chose his future for him might be terrible for a man who has dedicated so much of his life to trying to do the right thing. At first, Carter might speak with Steffy in secret. He may insist on knowing precisely what she knew and when. Steffy might attempt to clarify that she thought she was averting a more serious catastrophe. Carter, though, might not give a damn about her motivations. From his point of view, the reality would be straightforward. Someone denied him the chance to choose whether or not to become a father. One of the most poignant moments in the plot could be that confrontation. Steffi may be accused by Carter of stepping beyond a line that cannot be undone. Steffi, on the other hand, may maintain that she was attempting to shield a child whose birth circumstances were beyond its control. She could acknowledge that she made the wrong decision, but she could also contend that Daphne's involvement had nothing to do with stealing Carter's child. The goal was to come up with a solution. Then the amazing offer arrives. Carter might receive something from Daphne that completely transforms his life. Daphne might suggest a plan that surprises Carter instead of just asking Steffi to give the baby. She may offer to provide Carter a stable income, a place to live, or even a future partnership that would let him stay in touch with the child without having to take on full parental responsibilities right away. Naturally, this kind of agreement would raise even more concerns. Is it really possible to separate a child from their biological parent without repercussions? Would Carter agree to such an arrangement? And why would Daphne be prepared to offer something so remarkable? Beneath her seemingly generous offer, there might be another reason.